We're going to talk today about transitioning from the federal sector to the private sector. So making your federal experience work for you in the private sector. So before we begin, I'd like to just read a poem because I thought it was kind of a good place to start. So the poem is called The Path Ahead. So when the road you walk feels worn and gray, and the spark of joy seems far away, take heart, for change is nature's art, a chance to craft a brand new start. Step boldly forth, embrace the unknown, for seeds of growth and change are sown. The path ahead may twist and bend, but every turn's a chance to mend. So I'd like to see if anyone wants to share like what's coming up for them as I read that poem. Any thoughts? You could share it, you come off mic, or you can share it in the chat.
Kim, I'd like to share. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Love that pink jacket.
Thank you.
hmm Yeah. So this makes me think that, change is just everywhere. It's obviously most obvious in nature, but also in our non-natural worlds as well. For us, probably a lot in our personal lives and at work. But change can also be an opportunity. It can be painful. I don't like change. Kim knows me very well, and I like things the way I like them. And but there's huge opportunities for growth. And I know when I look back and see times of change or challenge in my life, that's where I also see the most growth. So it makes me feel hopeful. Maybe that's just the pretty landscape. But thanks for sharing that, Kim.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you for your thoughts. Love that. Anyone else?
In the text chat, Doris, sorry, said we get to start over. So love, love, love that.
Excellent. Any other final thoughts? All right, something to think about. So I think sometimes when we look at change, we think of it as always a negative and it's hard, but it also gives us a chance for opportunity and new growth and also, some excitement. There's excitement in something new. So something to think about. So, for those who have joined for the first time, welcome. My name is Kimberly Young, and I'm your host for today. And I'm a former Defense Counterintelligence and Security Agency employee, federal government for 22 plus years. And my co-host is Caroline Donnelly. Caroline, if you want to introduce yourself.
I was at the Internal Revenue Service and was the head of coaching for IRS for a number of years, and so therefore that was my previous Fed experience.
Great, thank you. So our 7-week journey, we're at week 6, which is crazy how quickly it's flown. So as I stated today, we're going to talk about making your federal career experience work for you in the private sector. And then we'll finish next week with when your work was your identity. So lots of exciting topics. And I'm glad that we're able to share these with you. So a challenge before we get really into the content of today is, what do you think is your biggest challenge in transitioning from government to private sector? So you can come off mic or you can actually put it in the chat. What's coming up for you when you think about this question?
Kim, I'm seeing how do my skills actually translate in text chat?
Okay, excellent. Anything else?
Having no clue what the private sector would value. Thank you. That's a good one.
Okay. What else?
It's a boundary shift. Government has so much structure to it.
Mm,
You knew where you were, you knew where you sat, you knew your skills, you knew the confidence in what your role was. And it's all uncertain into the private sector.
Yeah, I think I'd like to add on to that, Doris, too, if I can. I think about my government career, and you have these guardrails, and as an entrepreneur, it's like I'm running in this lavender field that's never ending, and so it's kind of like you go from a little bit of freedom to so much freedom, so it can be a complete culture shock.
Hey, Kim, there's some additional things in the text chat. So concerned about the work environment in the private sector. Is it too cutthroat and competitive for me? There's also a concern around the long hours they expect. I always worked in private sector and know the difference. So I guess they worked in it prior. And
Okay.
then prior to this year, I was concerned about stability and security in the private sector. Now I worry about that in government too. Another comment around how to transition from serving and helping people in the US government versus the corporate focused on missions and goals. And then finally, how to survive the private sector pink slip environment.
Okay, so lots of deep concerns and challenges that we're seeing, and as we'll try to help you in ways to navigate some of these things. Obviously, if we had the magic wand, we would grant everyone the ability to erase all of these challenges and concerns that they have. But I think, having the right tools can help you navigate all of these different things. So thank you. What a very active live chat we have today, Caroline. So where are we going today? So we're going to explore career options, transferable skills, and strengths to take action. We're also going to look at how to define goals, craft a unique value proposition, and rebrand your resume to stand out. And then how to build strong networks, engage with recruiters, and set micro goals for long-term growth. Sounds like a lot to pack into 45 minutes. And so we'll do our best, and then we'll send a bunch of resources out after. So I want you to put on your dream hat and think about, if you can imagine no limits, what career would make you happiest? So eliminate time, eliminate money, eliminate risk. What would be that job? Maybe you never even shared it with anyone. It's behind that big curtain. What would that job be? You can share it in chat. You can come off mic. You can hold it to your heart. Whatever works for you.
Very similar to what I do now, maybe with some fun travel thrown in. So I see that one. Teaching or a career that helps humanity. Oh, really nice. Entrepreneurship. Okay.
Okay.
Um, there's one comment there are two initials. I don't understand what those initials are. If you could just write that out, that'd be amazing. But that's what's so far and showing up in the text chat.
Okay. And if this question's too hard to answer now, put some thought into it. As we stated with the poem that we began with, it's an opportunity for growth and new things. So as you're kind of thinking about, how am I going to transform all of my skills, but how do you want to transfer all those skills? What do you want that job to be? Some different things to think about.
So, Kim, let me bring something up because I think that this
Sure.
might be a concern that folks probably have, is if they don't have any idea about what this could be, because, with federal careers, we know that the path is kind of like very laid out for you. And so this wide open field, like you mentioned, it creates the conditions for which we're like, I
Yeah.
don't know. And so what if you just don't know?
Okay. No, I think that's a fair statement. Um, but something to think about. And we're going to give you some prompts and different things to maybe stir that up as you're navigating that.
Yeah.
So I also
And
want to add that someone said they want to be an FBI agent investigating financial frauds. So
really
not
nice.
sure if that's your current agency that you work for. Is this the big dream that maybe you're going to go for?
Yeah. And Kim, one thing I'll throw in there, and then I'll let you keep going, is that it's okay not to know, right? It's really okay. And and I know that that sounds Pollyannish or, it doesn't make sense. Oh, I need to pay the bills and all of those things. I hear you. Trust and believe. I absolutely hear you. And you have an opportunity to be able to give yourself permission to dream a little bit. And if you don't know, be patient with yourself and know that things will begin to come as you walk down the path. So,
Yeah. And when we covered that during, session one of feeling the feels. So, and you might, as Caroline stated, you might not know, and it is okay. It's okay not to know. So what are your options if you leave federal service? Or even if you stay in federal service and move on to a new agency? I want to add that, and I just thought about that as I'm kind of looking at this slide, but going to another government agency, there are some government agencies that don't have hiring freezes. That could be a possibility. Private sector could be a possibility. Entrepreneurship, we had Marcia, she had stated possibly entrepreneurship. Freelancing, this could be an opportunity to be consultant and provide your services. Maybe this is a good time for you to go back to school, educate yourself, get an advanced degree, take some additional trainings or certifications. Um, Maybe create a little gap for yourself to figure those things out, right? We mentioned in the last slide, maybe you don't know what you want to do. Maybe you've been thinking about school and you just didn't know how you're going to fit it in. This could be an opportunity for you to get a different degree or even switch total gears and try a different job. Non-private sector is another opportunity. Have you thought about this? We had someone that indicated that they want to help humanity. They want to help others. As federal employees, we often want to serve. Nonprofits could be a great place for that. And also, maybe this is an opportunity for retirement or semi-retirement. That could even be another scary part is what do I do now that I'm not working in a job? What do I do with myself? So lots of options to consider. And maybe these could be explored at the same time. Maybe there's multiple things that you want to try and do, but know that you have options and you have choice. So understanding your transferable skills. This is where you identify skills gained in federal roles such as leadership, project management, strategic planning, compliance. We have all these words and acronyms that we use in the federal government. How do you make them work in the private sector, nonprofit, and so on? And how do you highlight these skills so that they align with the private sector? That's the hard part, right? Is okay, I was a leader. Well, what does being a leader mean? I did project management. Okay, what does project management mean? So I created this list, and you'll get this as a handout. And I know it's a lot to read right now. And ChatGPT helped me with this. But, you look at the word project management, and what does that even mean? Like, what does that even mean? So this can mean overseeing complex projects, ensuring timely delivery, and managing budgets. So different words in the private sector than project management. You go down and you look at data analysis. What does that mean? It means interpreting data to drive business decisions and strategies. So it's adding a little bit more information to it. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I did want to go down to at least HR expertise because HR is different in the private sector than government. Sometimes in HR, when you're in HR and government, you may be doing PDs or you may be doing job announcements, typically not payroll. But when you go to private sector, HR can mean payroll and some of those other things. So how do you transfer that? That could be managing recruitment, employee relations. That can also mean workforce planning to support organizational goals. So how can you take that word that we, have used in federal service and make it make sense in the private sector?
Hey,
And
Kim.
then, yeah.
I just want to add in one thing that you just said. You talked about GPT, whatever it is. I'm getting all that mixed up. That is a valuable resource for
Mhm.
also helping you with shifting the federal pieces into private sector. And so if you all are not familiar with that particular tool, I would definitely get familiar. In addition, remember the resources that we sent out around the career coaches that are available and things like that, so they can help you. So lots and lots of different things that you can also have in order to help with kind of wordsmithing your federal skills.
Yeah. Yeah. And because it is different, it is different. It shows up different. It sounds different. It's described differently. But there are so many skills that you have that you've learned in the federal government that is transferable to the private sector. So, like I said, I wanted to give you a couple of prompts because these are pretty common government jobs or descriptions. So it's a good place to start. So some things to think about when you're thinking about transferable skills. It's a good opportunity to do some self-reflection. And we do have a handout for this too, because there are lots of questions that came out. Um, what are your strengths? Like really think about your strengths. What are you really good at? And if you're not sure, ask someone. Ask a friend, ask a coworker, ask your boss, ask someone. Like, what am I good at? Um, what do others recognize about me? Or what do they rely on me for? How have my strengths actually helped me get to the job that I'm in? That's something to think about too. If you're a leader, like what got you there? Were you cutthroat? Did that help you? Probably not. It probably helped you that you're a people person. You're into professional development. You want to help others thrive. You're good at getting things done. So think about really digging into those strengths. And again, rely on others to help you because it's really hard to find those strengths for ourselves. And it's easier to ask a friend. So always ask a friend. Think about your weaknesses. Think about the things that maybe you're not so great at, but that you want to improve on. Like, what are some ways that you can improve on those? Like, maybe I'm not the best writer. What can I do to improve that? What are some ways that you can elevate your writing or your communication or whatever that weakness is that you came up with? When you think about this too, what are you really challenged on? You know, what are the things that you kind of struggle with a little bit? Maybe that's something to work on too now as you're transitioning into that next big thing. Um, Another thing to think about is how has your weakness kind of stunted your career growth? Has it? These are all great things to think about. So then we look at our motivators. What are we motivated by? Most government employees, I would say that I've run into, it's not money because you can make more money in the private sector, but really what motivates you? Is it impact? Is it team building? Is it a sense of community? What is the motivator for you? And thinking about that as you're kind of looking at that next job. What's the next job that I want to do? Yes, I was a civil servant for so many years and I got so much out of that. And it motivated me to help other people, help the US, all the things. But what are some other personal motivators for you? Looking at your passions. There's always this thing about passion and purpose. What is your purpose? What is your passion? But thinking about that, like what things really excite you in work, outside work? What are if money was no object, I think I posed this too. What would you do with your time? It's a really good time to think about that. If you want to serve, continue to serve, maybe a nonprofit's for you. Maybe if you want more of a cutthroat type thing, then maybe private sector is the same. And I'm not saying that all private sector is that way, but I think that we saw some comments in there. And how can you turn your passions into that next thing, right? We had someone that mentioned being an entrepreneur. How much is that tied into your passion? Then we can look at the skills. What skills do you have? What have you mastered? How do those translate into other sectors? What new skills should I get in order to be competitive? Like these are all things to think about. And then
Hey,
we get to
Kim?
one. Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry. With the passion one, someone wrote in, why is it so difficult to mix passion with financial needs? I would love to serve, and at the same time, I need money to pay the bills, which is, that's real talk. So thank you for bringing that into the conversation.
Yeah. Well, and that's something, to think about is maybe it's not hitting all the blocks, but maybe there are some things that, is important to you for your passion to do. You know, I can use my example. I left a really wonderful job that I loved, but I loved doing this more. So, um, you have to think about that too, is what are you willing to give up? Do you
Mhm.
need everything that you have now? Or would leaning into your passion fulfill you more? Would it fill your cup more? Maybe it's not filling your bank account as much, but is it filling you more? Is it lifting you up, allowing you to live the life that you want to live?
And I'll add one additional thing. What if what you do to pay the bills, it serves just that purpose. It pays the bills, and you take your passion out of that, and you just simply do something else that allows your passion to shine. Know that the job doesn't have to fulfill all of your passion and purpose, like Kim is saying. Perhaps it serves maybe a very small portion, like being of service to people. Well, find a job that allows you to do that. It might not be in the area that you want, et cetera, but allow it to be a little thing or do it on the side and still, allow the job to just simply fuel the passion. So
Yeah, no, great point. I mean, and that's something to think about is everything that we do in life fill all the buckets, fill all the things. I mean, if you can fill as many of them as you can, I think that's great. Um, so, and then our wants, like what do we truly want out of our life? What's truly going to make us happy? And I use that in quotes because I would like to say more of what are going to give us more moments of joy. What's going to make you want to get up in the morning and go to work besides just the paycheck, right? Because sometimes just the paycheck can make it hard to get out of bed in the morning. But is it a salary that you want? Is it a work-life balance? Is it flexibility? Is it opportunities for growth? Like really thinking about what you want for you, whether you stay in federal government or you get out. But these are always great things to kind of like do some self-reflection and a self-check. Because you don't want to wake up one day and be at the end of your career and think, I didn't do what I wanted to do. I didn't really tap into my strengths. I didn't really think about what motivated me in life. I didn't really think about what I valued. Like, how much of what you're doing right now are you doing it based on your values? So that's even something to think about. What do you value for you in your life and your job? Like these are a lot of deep questions I'm asking, so that's why we did a handout. So, but just some things to think about as you're navigating this. So a unique value proposition, what is that? How do you stand out in, with a bunch of other apples? Like, how do you stand out? How do you make yourself look different than all the other government workers out there that may be project managers? You're thinking about like recognizing your unique skills and competitive edge. What do you have that no one else has? And if you're not sure, again, phone a friend. Friends are amazing. They'll tell you the things that you don't tell yourself. What are your key achievements? And can you prove the impact? You saved however amount of money in government because you did A, B, and C. You were innovative, so you were able to do this. These are all great things to think about when you're coming up with your unique value proposition. How does this align with industry? And how do you make it market relevant? Those are the hard things. And it's hard to think about that, right? I mean, even just writing your own resume can be hard. Hire someone to do it, get some help. How have you adapted? And what are your problem-solving abilities? From what I understand in private sector, it's, they want to see problem solving. They want to see money. How are you saving money? How are you growing money? How are you doing all those things? How have you done it in government? Have you streamlined processes? How have you done some of these things that your agency wanted you to do? And also tap into the leadership and influence piece. So, and notice I don't have supervisor manager, I have leadership. You don't have to be in a leadership or management role to be a leader. So, how are you leading others? How are you influencing change? How are you doing all the things? These are the unique value propositions that you have to offer. So, think about that and maybe even jot some notes down. And again, phone a friend if you need to. So we have some things in, so someone had mentioned, I'm thinking about if money did not matter, what would I do? And that's a hard question, right? What would you do? What do you want to do? If money was not the option? And that's the tough thing, right? We know, what do they call golden handcuffs of government jobs? It's hard. That check's coming every 2 weeks, so it's hard. But if you weren't relying on that, what would you do?
Hey, Kim, let me throw another thing in there because this unique value proposition piece is an important piece because I think that the story that we want to tell ourselves is, oh my goodness, there's so many of these different, people who have a similar job history in the pool right now, and so therefore that means that blah 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 blah, whatever the story is that we want to tell. And that story gets in the way of us doing the things that we need to do in order for us to stand out. Namely, the fact is that they did not have the same the experiences that you had. They don't bring the same values. They don't bring the same work ethic. They don't bring a number of different things to the table. And in addition, I think that one of the things that we completely forget is people who do their homework around this place of industry alignment and market relevance they are the people that get actually noticed. So are you thinking about the industry that you want to go into and doing the research around the organizations that match your values, that are aligned with the things that you want to do, etc.? Those are the people that are going to stand out because of the fact that they've actually done the research. So don't tell yourself the story that puts you out of the game. Tell yourself the story instead that I am uniquely qualified to bring value to whatever organization I go to. Tell that story because that's the story that's going to keep you moving.
Thank you. So rebranding your resume, and this is not my sweet spot. So if you want someone to help you with that, we can give you resources for that. But so what does that mean, rebranding your resume to go from government to whatever you choose next? So there are some key tips to think about. So simplify the format and shorten it. Private sector does not want to see a 15-page government resume. I know when I was in government, I didn't want to see a 15-page government resume. So keep it short, simplify it. Focus on results, like the things that are important. Focus on the results. Translate that federal terminology. You know, we had that sheet. What does project management mean in the private sector? Translate it. Don't make it hard on whoever you're sending your resume to. Tailor it to each job. Don't just have one and you just send the send button for a bunch of jobs, and all of a sudden I applied for 100 jobs, but you didn't try to tailor it towards that particular job. So something to think about. Include keywords. Look for the keywords in the announcement and put them in your resume, but only put them in the resume if they apply. You need to be able to speak to those keywords. And that's where we see that sometimes, where there's, individuals put words in there and they're like, oh, they're not going to ask about that. And then you can't speak to it. Draft a strong summary section. That hook at the beginning, like why would someone want to hire you? Because once they get to the first end of the first page, maybe beginning of second page, they're done. They're probably looking at thousands of resumes. So think about those things. Showcase your transferable skills. What are the skills that the private sector wants? Do your research, as Caroline mentioned. That's so important. Do the research for every company that you're applying for. And highlight your certifications, your education, your trainings, all the things that are going to make sense for the new job. Is there anything that you think I missed? Anything you want to add, Doris? Is there anything because I know this is your wheelhouse. Is there anything you want to add?
I like the way you said research the company, because that summary is going to talk to the company, for the company, and not so much yourself. It's what you could do to bring value to them. And it's going to show that you have done the research because you know what they're looking for.
Okay, thank you for that. So we have a question. Is there a particular strategy you should use for your resume if your entire 20-year career was with one agency, but you held multiple positions in different locations? Well, I think that's the key there is highlight what those multiple positions were. Kind of pull them out of the big blurb, right? It's I worked for this company, these are all the things that I did, but what did you do in each of those jobs? Kind of list the agency you worked for, the most recent job, what your job skills were, and then kind of break it out. Because that's what individuals want to see. They don't want to kind of like sort through, oh, this person did this for this point of their job. Bullets are needed, and also some, paragraphs are needed too. And so then Doreen said, try to focus on key accomplishments in that position. Remove any extraneous information or unrelated information, especially have had multiple jobs over a long period of time. So kind of like pulling it out, making sure what you're including is relevant, and then also less is more, as someone had included. Thank you, Laura. Any other thoughts? I feel like this is like the area that a lot of individuals get hung up on because you're used to a certain style of a resume in federal government, right? It doesn't really allow for much creativity or fun. It's very plain and kind of boring. And now when you're going outside of that, gives you an opportunity to be a little bit more creative, not super creative, but it does allow you to be a little bit more. So some other things to think about. Leverage resume building tools like Canva, Zeti, Teal. Hire a resume writer to help you. If that's the place you're getting stuck, take a crack at it and then get someone to help you. Again, call a friend. Hey, can you look at my resume? What's coming? What do you see? What's standing out? What am I not highlighting? Look at job boards for jobs. Use career transition guides. There are some out there where you can actually use resources to help you when you're writing your resume. Also, networking platforms. And of course, you can hire a coach, hire a career coach, hire a coach that walk you through like the things that you're getting hung up on. But this is an important part of the process is transitioning that resume from federal to private sector. So we have a couple of questions, and has anyone found an efficient way to check job boards? I could chew up hours. And we can try to get some resources together for you on that. And then we also have some free resources for free coaching if that's something that you need to. Caroline, you look like you were going to say something.
I was really, really quick. The job boards piece, job boards are not the most effective and efficient way to do it. And Kim's about to talk about that. And so therefore I would not spend too many hours on job boards. By the time well, Kim's going to talk about it. So.
Okay. So quick question, poll. It's estimated that blank number of jobs are not publicly advertised and fall into what's known as the hidden job market. I don't know if you want to start the poll for me, Caroline. What do you guys think?
Great. Okay, I am going to end the poll now.
Okay.
Share
So it was
results.
kind of a trick question because when I researched it the first time, I got one answer, and then I researched it again, I got two answers. So the answer is 70 to 80%. 70 to 80% of jobs are not announced. So sending the resume, you're missing out on the big bulk of the jobs that you can actually apply for, which is kind of crazy. That's a big number to me. So as we think about that, how comfortable are you with networking? I don't know if you can launch that poll, Caroline. So we have a scale of 1 to 5. How comfortable are you with networking? Because this isn't really something you have to do in federal government, is it? I mean, you do, but you don't. But it's not as big as it is if you're getting out of the federal government. So everyone participated. So we have lowest percent is not comfortable. Then we go up that some individuals are pretty actually in the middle ground. Seems moderately comfortable. Seems like the sweet spot, and slightly comfortable. Okay, thank you. So what is networking? That's a good question. So networking is the ability to get out and get in front of people, right? We want to get people to know who we are besides sending them our resume, because we can sell ourselves better in person than we can with a piece of paper. So networking, some tips that you can do is identify and compile a list of companies you'd like to work for, right? This is where you're going to have to start doing the work. Who do you want to work for? Why do you want to work for them? How does their mission align with your values, your purpose, all those things? Connect with professionals within these organizations and build relationships. If there's a company you want to work for, go on LinkedIn. See who works there. Make them a connection. Meet them for coffee. Get in front of them. Utilize your professional networks, including former colleagues, industry groups, to uncover opportunities and insights. Remember, 70 to 80% of jobs aren't even announced. So if you get in front of someone, having coffee with a friend, hey, I'm looking for a change. Do you know of anyone in A, B, or C? Do you know any contacts you could give me? Hey, I have this professor that I worked for back in the day. Hey, I'm looking for something new. Do you know anyone that's looking? Having that networking opportunity. I have some comments. So some individuals said that they haven't mastered it. And how do you meet them for coffee? If it's a cold contact, they don't necessarily know you. Reach out to them. Reach out and say, hey, I love what you're doing. I'd love to meet you for coffee. Do you have 15 minutes where we can talk? It's going to take some boldness to network and get out there in front of some individuals.
I'll also share really quick. It could start with just commenting on something that they're sharing on LinkedIn, just as a jumping off point. And then kind of moving forward, DMing them and saying, hey, I really appreciate the work that you're doing. Would you be interested in a quick Zoom call? Something like that. Just most people, I can tell you, most people are open to a 15-minute, 20-minute Zoom call to talk about something that they're interested in. Do it as a virtual coffee. You can make it happen.
Yeah. And I'm going to challenge you a little bit later. And I know we're at time, so I'll go through the rest of the slides, so bear with me. So develop an elevator pitch. If you don't have one, this is a great time to start one. And if that's something too to think about, what are you, this is a good way to think about your UVP too. Like, what is different about you? Put that into your elevator pitch. Attend industry-specific events and job fairs. Join professional associations. And if you're not sure what would fit for you, again, use AI to help you to think about what those organizations may be. And request and schedule informational interviews. You have someone that has a job that you want. Hey, can I take 15 minutes to ask you some questions about how you got where you are? Again, it's going to take some bold moves, but that's going to make you stand out too, because you are bolder and you're reaching out. So, and if you don't want to do that type of work, you can always hire a recruiter or a headhunter to help you, or maybe they might seek you out. But that's something to think about. If you're not comfortable doing something, you can always hire it out and get someone to help you. So I challenge you. I have a couple of challenges for you as we're kind of like coming down to the end. I would like you to connect with at least 3 people in your target industry this week. I know that sounds like a lot, and it's only Wednesday, so I'll make it 2 weeks. In the next 2 weeks, connect with at least 3 people, whatever that means to you. Whatever that means to you. And just chat with them. So that's challenge number 1. Challenge number 2, attend one industry event this month. If you're in leadership development or if you're in training, go to the ATD conference next month. Get out and meet people, because that's what's going to help you get that next job that you want and that you desire. So that's my second challenge for you. My third challenge is create a LinkedIn account. Okay, government, we don't do this, right? This was a huge thing for me. I don't want to be public, but you have to. So create a LinkedIn account and create and share a LinkedIn post. Respond to something, respond to someone that you would appreciate their content. So those are the 3 challenges I have for you as we're kind of rounding this out. Set micro goals. You don't have to rush the process. So establish a balanced job search routine. Set up I would like to apply for so many jobs this week, this month, whatever. Set up a routine that you get into with yourself. Create a support system. Call those friends. You're not alone. You don't have to do this alone. And reframe setbacks as growth opportunities. I know it's hard. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of feelings. There's a lot of things that are happening, uncertainty, but also look at it as an opportunity for growth for you. So in summary, Career transitions require action, just not planning. Success comes from recognizing and leveraging your strengths. Explore, reflect, define, connect, refine, and take bold steps forward. Get out in front of people so they can see how amazing you are. And growth isn't instant, but every move builds momentum and opens doors. And enjoy the journey. I know this feels so hard right now, but try to find some enjoyment out of it. Explore those lost dreams. Mine for those lost desires. Take an opportunity to self-reflect and really show up for yourself of what you want to do for you in that next stage of your career. Any questions?
There is a question in the text chat around the market is oversaturated right now with the mass number of feds entering the private sector workforce. How do you stand out in this climate? And I have some thoughts as well. So Kim, what are
Yeah,
your...
I mean, I think I'm going to just keep piggybacking on networking, getting out there, finding out what's out there, meeting new people, starting conversations, and apply for the jobs and ask for help. I mean, I know it's a lot and it feels, especially in the DMV area, there's a lot of displaced feds right now, and there's a lot of individuals kind of going into the market. But it's really about getting yourself out there and getting in front of people and you know, making yourself stand out. So really doing that hard work, that inner work, and figuring out what you have to offer that maybe someone else doesn't. So Caroline, I don't know what you want to add to that.
Yeah, I also like it's that is true. And what's also true is the fact that people are also getting jobs, right? And you have to think about, what are they doing that is making it possible for them to be able to get jobs in this oversaturated, blah, blah, blah market. And I think that one of the things that you can consider doing, that Kim has mentioned over and over again to stand out, what makes you stand out is that people know, like, and trust you. And your ability to connect with people and your ability to let them get to know you is really the thing that's going to make you stand out. And in addition, doing the things with regards to your resume, etc. I think those are some of the things that I would add. I don't know if Doris, do you have anything else that you would add?
You're muted, Doris.
Excuse me, the networking piece is true.
It's key.
We are
We are, we tend to keep to ourselves. However, at this stage of the game, it is something that is invaluable to actually get out there. If you cannot join a professional association that you have to pay for, LinkedIn has a lot of community groups
Yes.
for government as well. And the more people know what you're looking for, you do have to be clear about what it is that you want so you can give that elevator pitch. And when something pops up, oh, I know Carolyn, she would be perfect for
Yep.
this. So that's another part that Kim said about the reflection piece and knowing what you want, because you can be able to share that with other people.
And I would also get outside of the federal specific networking groups on LinkedIn. I would consider, if you are a project manager, are there project management groups that you could join that are not federal? If you're an accountant, whatever the thing is, get into groups that are those types of people, because more often than not, they might share, hey, our company's looking for X, Y, and Z. It's completely outside of government, whatever it is. The other one that's coming up is how do you network without coming off as disingenuous about your reason for connecting? Really, really good question. And I'm happy to give my thoughts. And then Kim and Doris, if you want to give thoughts as well, please do. I always struggled with this one because it always made me feel like I was like selling my soul and it was feeling really sleazy and all of this. And I didn't want to do it because of those things. And then I came to a really clear realization around the fact that it is both the how you do these things and the what you do, right? And so for me, the thing that was really important to me is I wanted to get to know people who had similar points of interest, points of view that I did. And so one of the first things that I began doing was, in looking through different LinkedIn, group specific things or whatever, I began to connect with people or organizations that had similar values as mine or were working on interesting things for that I was interested in. And that was like the jumping off point for the conversation because I wasn't coming off as just simply I'm just trying to get something from you. The other thing is that it's important to find out what are their pain points or the things that are creating challenges for them. So, say for example, you meet with someone that you have been following on LinkedIn. You've been commenting on some of the things that they're doing because it's interesting and whatnot. And you finally get that coffee meeting with them. Of course, the first thing that you're going to say to them is not, hey, I'm looking for a job and blah, 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 blah. You want to get to know them as a person. How did they like how did they navigate their career? What was it about this company that made them really want to be a part of this? What do they love about their job? Like that kind of stuff is stuff that's not just quote unquote warming them up. It's you getting to know another individual. And that's what you want these things, these connection conversations to look like. You need to be genuine in your interest in them because they can see through, you just smoothing them up kind of. And so I would say first be genuine in your interest with them and then be asking questions around, what do you see as some of the biggest challenges that you are experiencing, things that are just really difficult or hard, or something like that that gets at some challenges or some things that they are working on. What that does is it opens the door for when you leave the conversation for you to go and do some research around the things that they said, hey, these are some things that I'm interested in or that are difficult, whatever. And it allows you to then send them a piece of content that you found, through your research to say, hey, really loved our conversation. This might be really helpful for the thing that you talked about so that you are not showing up as a taker, you are showing up as a giver. And it allows you to again build know, like, and trust and build relationship because the reality is that this networking thing is really about building real relationships with people so that then to Doris's point, they remember you and they say, oh yeah, Caroline, she does X, Y, and Z thing, or I remember this thing about our conversation. She would be really good. And so that's the thing that I would say is be giving in addition to be asking, right? Because they don't know what you don't ask. And so make sure that it's that reciprocal kind of thing. Kim, Doris, what else would you all add?
I would just echo what you said is gift versus ask is definitely key. And look at it as an opportunity to expand your group of individuals that you're corresponding with. And I think that's like the key thing is you have an opportunity to meet people. You have an opportunity to learn. Go in curious. Go in asking about like what they do, what made them choose that career path. I mean, you're almost doing an informational interview as they're kind of like giving you information about themselves. People like to talk about themselves.
They
And then when
do.
they ask you, you take it all in. You can say, wow, that's great. I'm looking for a transition. You don't want to go like, you don't want to go in and be like, hi, I'm Kim Young. I'm looking for a job. What do you got? Like, you don't want to go in that way, but look at it as an opportunity to meet new people, learn, go in curious, as Caroline, gift like that. People remember that. People remember, but you have to be authentic. Like, you can't go in and be like, here, I have this book recommendation. It's great. Like, hey, I was remembering like something we talked about, and I thought about this book about the power of moments, and I thought that you might like this book because of blah 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 blah. And that's the important piece. So what about you, Doris? What do you have to add?
Actually, nothing. It's all been said. It's all been said. And also, I can't say anything else except to echo what both you and Carol said. It
Yeah.
takes a little bit of time to nurture relationships, but that's how you stay genuine and authentic, by nurturing them and actually, like you said, getting to know them, because people do want to talk about themselves.
I knew this was going to be a big topic. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We hope that you join us next week for our last session on when work was your identity, rebuilding confidence and purpose. So thank you to everyone. We appreciate you.